Hello everyone, welcome to today's review. Today we're featuring the Keychron Q4 back-to-back with Gateron's newest switches, the Gateron North Pole. This unit was sent in by Keychron and the switches are sent in by Kurt Bro Switches. Again, this will not affect the review. All of what I will be saying are of my own opinion of this keyboard. With that being said, let's start with the conclusion. So for those of you who doesn't have time to watch the full review, again, I am giving you my final thoughts and my conclusion. The Keychron Q4 is an awesome keyboard. It's an amazing keyboard, especially if you love the 60% layout. I personally was so afraid to dive into the 60% layout because I needed the arrow keys. So what I did for my 60% keyboard, the cluster of keys over here, I programmed them to be my arrow keys. Because I use the left side shift, I have no problem using this shift for the up arrow. That's my simple solution to that. And that's why my 60% keyboards are all VIA programmable. I love the Keychron Q series. The Q1 is a game changer in the keyboard community, in the custom mechanical keyboard scene. You can check out my review, it's in my channel. I love the Q series. This by far is my favorite Q series. For some reason, maybe because of the smaller form factor, making the dead space in the case less compared to the bigger form factors, I think that the Q2 is the best sounding Q series keyboard out there. Very subjective. Very subjective. It might be just an observation, but from what I remember my experience with my Q1 and my Q2, this seemed to sound more solid. I also think that it looks the best. The 60% layout seems perfect symmetrical compared to the Q2, which is a 65%, a little bit too elongated for my taste. This one, everything seemed to fit really well. I love thin bezels. This keyboard has thick but handsome edges and bezels. Really love it. Nothing out there, but it looks really good for me. And as usual, the typing feeling of the Keychron boards are superb with that crazy insane amount of flex. I have to tell you that I am not a fan of their steel plate. I think Keychron should just go ahead, scrap that off, and then put some better plates on their Q series keyboards, because the steel plate, I don't like it. I really don't like it. So the moment I got this, I plugged in my FR4 plate, put some loops on the stabilizers. That's it. The stabilizers are good. They are screw-in. I don't need to upgrade them or whatsoever. Placed in the switches, keycaps, good to go. The Keychron Q4 is an awesome keyboard. If you're into the 60% layout, which I suggest you try to dive into it, it's really good. My favorite Q series to date. Amazing keyboard. Considering that this is $20 cheaper than the Q2, than the Q1, I'm really happy with this. All right. The Gateron North Pole switches, they're good. They're better than the Aqua Kings. Again, for me, this is subjective. Okay, a lot of linear switches out there, sometimes it becomes too overwhelming. Honestly, the switches that are released in 2022, most of them, the ones I've reviewed at least, okay, most of them are really good. You don't even have to think about smoothness. Once you lube them up, they all pretty much even out each other. It all boils down to sound and typing preference. And when I say preference, it's going to be up to you to decide. I can only show you a glimpse of these switches. At the end of the day, buy a few switches, try them out. If you like them, get the full set. If you don't, it really depends. There are a lot of switches with good reviews, good sound when you watch it on YouTube, and then When I tried personally, I don't like it. So going back, the North Pole, they're good. They're good. These are the lubed versions on the clocky side of the spectrum. Stock, but once you lube them, the sound becomes a little bit more deep. It's good. I love the heaviness of the springs. Not too heavy, not too light. If you're into this sound profile, a little bit clocky, somewhere in between, leaning towards the deeper sound, then it's a viable option. Except that it has one flaw. I'm not sure if it's a design problem. It fits in too tight. The switches, the lower housing fits in too tight on the plate, and it takes some skill to replace and remove the switches. Be very careful. It's not that easy to pull them out. So but it's one of their newer switches. I think it goes directly head to head with the Aqua Kings. For those loving the RGB, really shines brightly. For me personally, that's not my thing. I do however enjoy the switches because they're smooth, their factory lubing is consistent, way better than the Aqua Kings. They sound good, they feel good, as with many of the other switches that I've reviewed lately. So is it a game changer? Probably not. Is it the best switch out there? It's really hard to grade these switches, guys, because at the end of the day, it's preference. It's really preference. So those are my thoughts and conclusion. For those of you who want to dive into the nitty-gritty of this keyboard, do watch the full modding guide and the sound tests that I have prepared for you. Let's go. Well guys, so today we will be reviewing one of the newest switches of Gateron, the Gateron North Pole. They kinda remind you of the Aqua Kings and the Aqua CS crystals, which we find in the Aqua ACR Pro keyboard. My problem with those switches is that I feel that they're too light. This one has a 50-gram actuation force and, if I'm not mistaken, around 60-gram bottom out force, so we will check the details later. There are very few reviews on the internet. I found one review in YouTube saying that this is better than the Aqua Kings, and honestly I wasn't really impressed with the Aqua Kings. It was okay, especially if you want the RGB. They really look similar on the outside. We'll see how these switches sound and feel. So the Keychron Q4 is one of my favorite 60% keyboards to date. If you are into the 60% layout, there's not much option in the recent few months that have been released. The Freebird 60 is really good. One of my favorite keyboards, surprisingly good after my gasket mounting modification, and that's one of the reasons why it's staying with me. But other than that, you do have the Tofu, which is a classic for the 60% layout, but it's not gasket mounted. The gasket mounting system gives you that sound profile that has been very popular, but for me personally, what I do like about the gasket mounting system is the typing feel. Really soft and really bouncy. So as of the moment, you have limited options when it comes to the 60% layout. Then comes the Keychron Q4 at a very affordable price point. It's around $20 cheaper than your usual Q series, with the Q2 and the Q1, which are really good keyboards. For some reason, however, I find that the Q4 has a good sound, has a better sound out of the box. I don't know why. So I also felt that this keyboard is more on the higher pitch, clacky sound profile. For reference, in this keyboard right now are the Moyu Green Snake and EPBT keycaps. So here's a quick test of how it sounds right now. so that we can compare it with the North Pole later. So yeah, it sounds really good. It feels really good, and it looks handsome. It looks very good. I'm digging the thick bezels, which for the past few months wasn't really the look I'm going for. Again, you can see that the Freebird 60 doesn't have those thick flares around it. The Q4 on the other hand is the exact opposite. It's very thick, very flary, but it really looks good. Looks good in person, in the photographs as well. A lot of viewers share the same opinion when I posted the pictures of the Q4 the first time. It's a handsome keyboard. Let's open it up and try out the Gateron North Pole and see how it goes. So thank you for Easy Home PH for this mini mat. I'm really enjoying using it. You can really showcase your desk, especially if you have a nice wooden desk like mine. For the past few days, I've been enjoying using the Oria's automatic screwdriver set. This is not a must-have, guys, but it really makes your job easier, especially when you're playing around with your keyboard a lot. So makes removing, putting back screws very easy. Comes in with a lot of freebies. I bought this, by the way, personally, so this is not a sponsored the Oria is not a sponsored item in this channel. So let's open up the Keychron. See how easy that is for lazy people who wants to make things quicker and faster. Alright. So I've said in my quick impression of the Q4 that it does suffer the pinging problem that you're expected of the Q series, the Q1, the Q2, but it's very easy to fix. So I've shared several ways on how to do it. In the Q1, I've tried using layers of leukoplast tape, and I've also tried adding electric tape, the combination of which became too messy. And then I tried using one layer of leukoplast tape on each of the upper and lower case. Again, very messy. This one, I just used a single layer on the bottom case, and I think that works perfectly. You don't even have to add more than that. So this is the force break mod. So it's a leukoplast tape placed all around, and that's all you need to remove that pinging and hollowness. Aside from that, guys, everything here is stock. So let's remove the daughter board. Everything in this Keychron is stock. Why didn't I go for the PE foam and the tape mod? Again, to be honest, those are really great mods, revolutionary. I love the sound when it came out, but after a while it became a bit tiring to the ears, all of your keyboards sounding the same. And there are times that when I do the review, I want to hear the original sound signature of the keyboard. And for the Q4, I don't really think you need to tape this up or put the PE foam. I love the sound of the keyboard as it is. Okay, these are stock stabilizers, really good. I don't think you should switch them out. I just put in some stabilizer lubes, okay, on the wires, and some switch lube on the housing. That's it, nothing more, and they sound okay. All right, so let's try the stock Gateron North Pole. So these guys look really good. I've had a hard time putting them in. For some reason, Gateron switches, I've noticed with my experience with them, compared to other switches, they have tight tolerances around the plate. So when you put them in, it's kind of tighter compared to other plates that I've tried. This one was unusually tight. Had to force it in. So I'm not sure if you're going to experience that. I'm not sure if it's because of the FR4 plate of the Keychron, but this is my first time to have such a resistance that I had to use some kind of heavier force to put the switches in. Again, support your hot swap sockets when doing this, when you're putting in your switches, to avoid popping them out. So alright, let's put this thing back together. What I like about the newer Q series compared to the first release that I got, I got one of the first few versions of the Q1. The daughter board was a bit flimsy and I destroyed mine. I had to replace it. This one has a better mechanism for the daughter board connection, so that's really nice, really appreciated. So we will put in the keycaps last so that we can see the light show on this keyboard once it's placed in. But it does look good. I think this will look better, or it will blend well with a translucent or transparent keycaps, if that's your thing. Again, when putting in your screws, tighten them just the right bit to avoid ruining the threads. So don't over tighten. The thing with linear switches nowadays is that there are a lot of good switches coming out. Let me paraphrase that. A lot of the switches coming out recently are really good. It's very hard to find a switch that is bad. So when people are asking me which switch is better, this or that, my response would be it actually boils down to preference. So there are a lot of factors that influence the sound of your keyboard. The switches are, of course, one of them, one of the major factors. So for me, what I look for is the sound and the smoothness. And when it comes to smoothness, really, honestly, the switches that come out in 2022, you expect most of them to be good and smooth already. Some might benefit from lubing, but other than that, after lubing, it would be really good. So don't worry too much about smoothness. Get the switch that you like the appearance, you like the sound, and you like the feel. So the typing feel, yeah. So I think that's more where the switches difference really come about. So there are switches with specialized springs that would give you a different typing experience. So ooh, interesting. These North Pole switches are stock again, and I love the feel. Smooth, really smooth. Alright, so stock Gateron North Pole switches. The RGB lights really shining through. If you like that look, it looks nice. Quick sound test. Alright, let's go. Let's do a sound test. Wow. Wow. It's nice. It's nice. The newer Gateron releases are really good. I believe when I started out in this hobby, the default was to lube up the switches that we get out of the box. The Gateron Oil Kings, the Gateron CJ, and now the Gateron North Pole have a very good factory lubing. They are very smooth, and I really don't think that you should relube this. You can relube it if you want it to sound a bit deeper, a bit muted, but by default these switches are on the more quiet sound of the spectrum, deeper sound profile, and I love it. I love it just the way it is on the stock form. I don't think I will be lubing them soon unless I really want to make it really deep sounding and more muted. Again, I've mentioned that a lot of the switches recently being released are just permutations of the housing material, the stem material, and the springs, and then a lot of them tend to be similar. What I do look for in switches right now is the consistency of factory lubing, how good it is out of the box, the sound and the typing feel, and I think the Gateron North Pole checks a lot of those boxes out. It really does. So again, is it the best switch out there? Is it the king of the north? To be honest, again, this is a very subjective hobby. If you're looking for this sound profile, then yes, it's a good option. I really think it is. You don't have to lube it, not much work, just put it in and it's good. And it's really good. I love the typing feel. This would be perfect for beginners or those transitioning from the basic switches that you get going into more specialized switches. It has a 50-gram actuation force, which is not that heavy, not that light. Alright, so that is my review, guys. Thank you for watching. The Keychron Q4 is simply amazing. I love it. I got this with the FR4 and the PC plate. I do suggest when you're ordering from Keychron to get those extra options to maximize your shipping fee, because you would really benefit from the FR4 and the PC plate. I'm currently running this with my favorite tactiles, the Boba U4T and the GMK keycaps. Looks really beautiful. So thanks for watching. Please continue to support this channel. It's an awesome experience, 1,000 subs and counting. I really love it, guys. So thank you very much. And we shall end this, of course, with a barrage of sound tests from this awesome keyboard.